Aliyu, how many times did I call your name? I am not a cheap monk. If you are cheap and you think every Nigerian is jobless and they have to live on government before they survive, I am not one of them. Okay? I am happy that I'm not a minister in Buhari's government. It would have been unfortunate. Yes, it is true. If you're a minister, of course you can't talk. It's like working for a man. If you want to talk, then you resign. So don't come here and try to blackmail everybody. So anybody who complains about Buhari is because they didn't make him a minister. When for the life I live today, no minister lives it. Quote me on it. I have my freedom. I live wherever I want. I go wherever I want. I say whatever I want. I'm not a dullard like you. What's wrong with you? Are you proud of the Nigeria of today? Can you sleep in your village? Tell me where your village is and tell me the last time you slept there. Tell me the job you do and what you have ever contributed to Nigeria, apart from being a parasite. You come here, you think you can insult me? Aliyu, please get off my page. People are dying. You are coming here to talk about ministerial appointment. What has that got to do with anything? Because all of you go into government to go and steal. I'll be 61 in 2 weeks' time. I've never lived on government. I've never been in government. What more do I want in life? You think ministerial appointment is the problem of everybody? Those of you who cannot survive outside government, that's your business. That's none of my business. No, it's my business to talk to him. We need to let people know that the country belongs to all of us and we can talk. I criticize Jonathan. So why can't I criticize Buhari? Because he is God? We supported him with our sweat, with our hard-earned money, and if he's disgracing us, we have a right to react. We supported him. And I apologize again and again. I apologize publicly that I ever made such a mistake in my life. But we want our people in 2019 not to repeat the same mistake. People are dying. People are hungry. People are jobless. All you people do is, because somebody is from your area, you have the same ethnic background, so nobody should talk to him, nobody should touch him because he's egg. Buhari is the president of Nigeria, but Buhari is a public servant. He does not own Nigeria. He does not own Nigeria. Nigerians pay him. They pay his hospital bills. They pay everything. Anybody who does not want to be talked about should not go to government. You can't employ a man and then the man you employ will say, no, you can't talk to him. You can't query him. Whatever he does is final. I wonder what's wrong with Nigerians. So it was good for us to criticize Jonathan, but it is no longer good to speak about Buhari. The country has virtually collapsed on its head. You are telling us we can't talk. Because of what? If Buhari sits in front of me, I will repeat it and tell him to his face that you have failed. What have I said that his own wife has not said about his government? That Nigeria has been taken over by bad people. Am I the one saying that? Is that not his wife? When tomorrow comes, Buhari will say, oh, he didn't know. So that's why we're telling him. So those of us who have the voice that can reach him, that's why we're saying it publicly, that Nigeria has collapsed. Muhammadu Buhari, listen to the cries of your people. And we don't want you to come next time and tell us that, oh, we didn't know, nobody told me. We're doing the job of the advisors, but the advisors, everybody is in government for their own thing. That's why you think I need a ministerial appointment. Minister. There is no insult bigger than that. Minister. In my private capacity, I've been dealing with presidents globally. I've never been in government. You come and tell me I have to be a minister so that I can steal money. Is that all there is to life? I beg. So let's come back to Pastor Itua. Yeah. He has said it loud and clear. The blame lies on the table of Muhammadu Buhari. No other person should be blamed. If Buhari wants to end this thing today, he knows what to do. But Buhari obviously is being sympathetic to his people. He doesn't want it to look like he's the one sending soldiers to go and kill his own people. That's all. Why is it easier to carry soldiers to go and be shooting people in Anambra, in Imo State, in Enugu, in Ebonyi, and all those places? Why is it so easy? The same energy that you are mobilizing against IPOB, why don't you mobilize the same energy against Boko Haram and see if you will not get the result? Live a miserable life, believe they should drag everybody along to live miserably. Can you listen to me? Some people have decided that their lives are miserable and they must make others miserable. It is wrong. It is wrong. I heard what the governor was saying just now, where some people said they have a right to grab land in any part of Nigeria. There is nobody who has any such right. So tomorrow, if I want to set up my poultry farm, I'll just go to Kano and say, here I come. I'm setting up a poultry farm, and I'll go and grab land anywhere. And then after I grab the land, then I say I have rights to grab anybody's wife, anybody's daughter, and rape mercilessly and kill them mercilessly. Abba. Nobody has ever stopped any Fulani man from any part of Nigeria. Where is this propaganda coming from? Nobody. We all know and we all read, the richest man in Nigeria today is Aliko Dangote. Has anybody ever stopped him from building the biggest refinery fertilizer plant in Lagos? No. Because the man is productive. He's employing Nigerians. I've known Alhaji Dangote now for about 30 years. He's always been a hard worker. I've seen his work across Africa. Nobody has stopped him. Nobody has stopped him from working. I've been to his plant in Ethiopia. I've been to his plant in Zambia. I've been to his plant in Tanzania. One of the richest Nigerians is also from Kano, like Dangote. Alhaji Abdulsamad Rabiu. He's been my friend for over 20 years. He lives in Lagos. The Bua Group, they are into sugar, they are into cement, they are doing their own refinery, they're doing everything. Nobody has ever stopped them from doing their work because they are productive. But no productive man can just stroll across the border of Nigeria and say Nigeria must accept him because you are a Fulani man. Can a Yoruba man stroll into Mali and say, hey, because I'm a Yoruba man, I want to come and live in Mali, or I want to come and live in Senegal? Even ECOWAS does not allow us to do such. So why are some people looking for trouble and saying they must force themselves on others? Nobody can force themselves on others. If you want to do business, go and buy your land, seek all the government permits, and when they give you C of O, then the land belongs to you. You can't grab anybody's land and say because you're a Fulani man, your cow is more superior to other people. You know, this is what we are saying. But anytime you talk, you say it's because you hate a Fulani man, you don't like us, you hate Buhari. What is there to hate in Buhari? What's my business with Buhari to hate him? When I was spending my own money and spending my time, my energy and resources and everything to support him, I didn't hate him. Till today, despite my vehement disagreement with his policies, it's nothing personal. I still write, I report Buhari every day. I have nothing personal against Buhari. Despite the uselessness of his government, I don't hate him as a person. I pity him. Because there are not many people in this life that God will give a second chance. God has given Buhari a second and third chance now, and he has bungled it. I have no doubt in my mind that the remaining 2 years, there is nothing he is likely to do again. Unless a miracle happens. A miracle will have to happen. And Buhari, there will be a complete transfiguration of the man, and that is impossible. His mindset is so rigid that he cannot change who he is. How many Nigerians need to die before Buhari will talk or reach out to their families? How many kids will have to be kidnapped before Buhari will talk and reach out to their families? When will Buhari begin to show empathy? When he needed the votes of Nigeria, he found the energy and everything. He went everywhere. He went everywhere. I was shocked. Buhari went, even when people said he was collapsing and falling at campaign rallies, he kept campaigning. He never stopped campaigning. So why can't he campaign for the rejuvenation of Nigeria? Why can't he go all over Nigeria and reassure Nigerians that I'm with you in your hours of pain. I'm with you in your hours of triumph. Why can't he do so? Why is he happy? People coming to visit him every day. Buhari receives. We didn't vote for an emperor. We voted for a leader that we believe will lead Nigeria in peacetime and in wartime. He went everywhere to campaign. I remember he would do like this everywhere. So where is that power? This is supposed to be a sign of power, of strength. Where is that power? People know where these bandits are. I've seen Shehu Gumi go in the bush to go and negotiate with bandits openly, with journalists, with cameras, with security people watching. They saw them going inside the bush. Nobody followed them to go and arrest anybody. And these people are carrying weapons that even some of our soldiers don't have. Nobody ever touched them. But just let anything happen in southeast Nigeria, the whole place, they will rain bullets on them. Are they not Nigerians? If you don't protect the people and they decide to protect themselves, like ESN decided to do, how can you blame them? If you protected them, would ESN be necessary? Would anybody waste money to go and arm some people to protect them? But if you have failed, you cannot tell people not to go into self-defense. We lack shame. If you don't protect a man, you are telling the man he should just sit down there and let people come into his house and rape his wife in his presence. What manner of government does that? No, yes, I agree with you, Prince Mike. I agree with you that Buhari is not likely to change. I don't see him changing unless a miracle happens, unless the foreign powers, because it seems our leaders, the only people they listen to, the day the foreign powers decide that they are interested in Nigeria, you will see that a lot of things will begin to happen. Once the interest, the business interests of the foreign powers get seriously threatened in Nigeria, you will see them react. Then they will call their man Buhari, and you will see Buhari will answer them. We're the ones our leaders don't respect. They don't respect us. They have no respect for us at home. But when it comes to foreigners, yes. So this is nothing personal. I have nothing against any Fulani. Anybody who knows me knows I have some fantastic Fulani friends, very well educated, very productive human beings. But if Fulanis now decide that they want to reduce everything to cows, then that would be unfortunate. And the Fulani elites have refused to talk. They need to speak more. There are a few people talking, but they need to speak more. They need to reach out to their people. They need to go and educate the Almajiris. There are too many Almajiris in the north. They are poor. They are hopeless. They are helpless. Nobody to give them hope, nobody to help them, and you expect they will not take arms? It's a miracle that it even took this long for them to react. So sometimes when we talk about banditry and all, if you see the sort of indignity that these kids suffer, the pain in their eyes as you drive through the streets of Kano, you'll be shocked that this did not even start much earlier. Unfortunately, the same people are going to rise up tomorrow and say they want to contest for election. And the same poor, hungry people will vote for them because they are from my area, like the Aliyu man who was talking rubbish on my page just now. The only reason he will not listen to Dele Momodu is because Dele Momodu is not a Fulani or Hausa man like himself, so I have no right to talk. Unfortunately, we have been talking for a long time. I started talking as a pioneer Jambite at the then University of Ife. I entered Ife in 1978. I don't know where you were then, so go and check the records. We spoke. We spoke when Babangida was there. We spoke when Buhari was there. We spoke when Abacha was there. It is our right to speak, and we shall continue to talk. That have not carried any arms. If you cannot touch those who carry AK-47 and you are interested in those who are talking and speaking the truth to power, then it's your headache. That has nothing to do with me. And stop blackmailing people that everybody is because they didn't make them minister. If I wanted to be a minister, I know what to do. I'll go and lobby. I will sit in Abuja like other people. If I don't get that, I'll beg for something else. But I'm not jobless. I have a good job. Okay? And I enjoy what I'm doing. I may not be a billionaire. I may not have all the millions. But at least I am relevant. I have a voice. And I'm proudly using my voice. We have many voices in Nigeria who have gone quiet. That is their business. Shame on them. If you have a voice and you cannot use it to rescue your country in the days of tribulation, shame on you. So because Buhari is in power, suddenly everybody is quiet. Shame on you. Let's all speak with one voice. It has nothing to do with fighting anybody. We're not fighting Buhari, we're not fighting anybody. We're just telling him the truth. That Nigerians are dying in case he doesn't know, in case he has nobody to tell him. I pity our soldiers. I pity our security men. They are overstretched. Go and check my records. Go on Google and see my visits to Sierra Leone. Go and see my visits to Liberia. Our soldiers were among the best. So what happened to them? That they are being killed like insects and nobody cares. Our soldiers are among the best in the world. But some people have to read the body language of Mr. President. Can we move? Some people will be in trouble and they will call and they will say, we don't have instructions to do anything. But they have instructions to go and kill IPOB. It's wrong. The job of a president is to govern everybody equally. Every soul in Nigeria is important. Whether you are Igbo, you are Yoruba, you are Hausa, you are Fulani, every Nigerian is important. And let me assure you, history has taught me that no country can live perpetually in stupidity. History has taught me that no leader can live forever, whether you like it or not. In 1998, I woke up in London. I was in exile. I woke up and people started calling me. They said Abacha died. I said, it's not possible. How can Abacha die? Then Chief Olusegun Oshoba called me and said, Dele, have you heard? I said, Chief, don't join them in this rumor, sir. Abacha cannot die. Abacha was gone. He was gone. The day before, his word was law. Nobody could challenge him. And that's why I always tell my friends who are in power, don't behave as if there is no tomorrow. Don't behave as if there is no tomorrow. Why don't you do what is right today for the sake of your children? Abacha is gone. but the children are here. Very fine children he left behind. I know a few of them, one-on-one. Gumsu, Zainab, Rekia, Mohammed. These are very fine people. So if people remember that my children are going to be left behind, won't you try and do the right things? How can any leader not talk to people? Thousands of people have died. And all we see is my friend Shehu Garba Shehu will come out and address the people. We didn't vote for him. We voted for a president. What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? All the powerful people of yesterday, where are they today? They are ordinary mortals like you and I. Stop flexing muscles. No man is God. Only God is God. Nigeria is doomed. We won't go to the dustbin of history. I pray not. As a Christian, I believe in miracles. I've told my friend Omoyele Sowore, he believes in revolution. I believe in a miracle. I believe a miracle can happen. We've seen it happen before in Nigeria. When we think we've reached the dead end, something will happen that will alter our drive towards perfidy, our drive towards Golgotha, our drive towards perdition. Nigeria is among the best in the world, whether you like it or not. I'm not going to argue with you, Kaka. That's my opinion. I've traveled to over 60 countries and territories in the world, on 5 continents. There is nowhere I've been that Nigerians are not doing great, except in Nigeria, where nothing is done on merit. It's about who you know, not what you know. Nigerians are great everywhere. I've been at universities in Harvard, in Oxford, in Chicago, everywhere. I've met Nigerians doing great things. Some of the greatest scholars on earth are Nigerians. One of the people who designed the Pfizer vaccine, is a Nigerian, he's an Igbo man. I've met Professor Philip Emeagwali one-on-one personally. I hosted him in my house in London. We both got awards alongside our brother, Mr. Cosmos Maduka of Coast 3 of us were given, the Eagle Award in London, same day, nearly 20 years ago. So I know what I'm talking about. Nigerians are great. Remove our leaders. So our leaders cannot define us. We should define our leadership. This is my church today. Church is where you can reach out to fellow human beings. This is my church today, and I'm preaching to you from my church in my house. I don't care whether Buhari has a hidden agenda or not, it will not work, not in Nigeria. It won't work. You should go and learn from other leaders who tried it. It will never work, it will never fly. All the army, if you like, they can convert all the army in Nigeria to one army that they can control. It will never work. That one, I'm telling you that it won't work. Nigerians are too sophisticated. We may look stupid and squeamish and timid. Trust me, Nigerians are brilliant. Do you know how many Nigerians are in the cabinet of Joe Biden, the president of the United States of America right now? That tells you how great Nigerians are. Nigerians are controlling the world, and we're going to rule the world. That's the wish of God for us. It's not the wish of man or any dictator. Nobody can stop our movement to greatness. Nobody. It doesn't matter whether it becomes Yoruba nation, it becomes Igbo nation, whatever nation it becomes. I want to tell you that the country called Nigeria today, and Nigerians, whether you are Fulani, you are Hausa, we are great people. But those who want illiterates to continue to dominate us, that's their business. One of the biggest problems is ignorance, where you have ignorance and mass poverty combined. It's a deadly combination. It's a deadly combination. So we need to get serious and know that never again shall we allow conservative elements dominate us. And we have them everywhere. It's not just in Fulani land. We have them in Yoruba land. We have them in Igbo land. We have them in Ijaw land. There are oppressors everywhere. It is for us now and henceforth to make up our minds that never again are we going to allow such nonsense. Jennifer, all this one I'm talking is gist. Well, you are free to talk whatever you like. If you consider this gist, you want to protest so that you can follow me. Why can't you lead the protest? Do you know since when I've been protesting? Before you were born, I've been protesting. Okay? There is no form of protest bigger than this. You will not have seen me one-on-one if not for this platform now. So if you want to protest, please feel free to protest. Jennifer Poch 1. Okay? Feel free. Other young people will join you. Thank you, Mr. Ikechukwu. Thank you so much. Well, the decision of God is the decision of God. Whether Nigeria works again or not, so I leave that to Nigerians and to God. Olayinka Agbola. Our mumu, I don't think we're mumu. Something must, you see, my sister, I have a sister-in-law. We call her Sister T. Very, very intelligent, very brilliant. She said something to me, I think last week. She said, look, God deliberately brought Buhari to do something. Nobody will believe it. Without Buhari, Nigerians will not be as aware as they are today. We'll still be managing and thinking, no, it's not true. You know, there are people, if you talk to them, oh, no, it's not true. Oh, there is no agenda. There is no agenda. We've been talking about this agenda since the time of MKO Abiola. A man won presidential election, fair and square, and they aborted it. And people say, no, it has nothing to do with agenda. It's a military. Who are the people controlling the military? It's been there. We saw it, but we ignored it. We were too laid back. And the same Nigerians, the biggest sufferers, they are the ones who will give the biggest excuses. No, it's not true. No, you people say, your conspiracy theory is too much. Buhari did not hide his own agenda. When you complain today that everybody is in his government is full and tomorrow you will make appointment again and further provoke the country. When you complain, it's like the more you complain, the more he gets angry. Tomorrow he will still repeat the same thing. I have never seen such a thing in my life. You have two major agencies in transport, the MPA and the NIMASA. You keep your people in MPA, you remove the South man, the Akuku Peter side, you remove him from the NIMASA and you replace him with one of your people. I'm not saying the person you replaced is not qualified. I'm not saying the person is not brilliant. But what I'm saying is that in the name of fairness and equity, so wouldn't you think that you will at least share it 1-1? Okay? Share it. Keep our sister Adiza and leave our brother. So that at least people will feel a sense of belonging. No. They will say it doesn't matter. You don't care. It is good. So when people react, they don't complain, because people are definitely going to react. People are going to react. There is no way. One thing I know Buhari cannot succeed in doing is to stop Nigerians from talking. Of course, most people will keep their mouth shut like Mumu, that's fine. But I know Nigeria very well, that nobody can cow us. I pity our governors. Let me talk about them. If you see the way our governors, Rababa, go to Abuja, take picture with Buhari as if, they are going to Hollywood to go and meet some superstars, take pictures. They bring some files. They'll bring files. I saw Hope Uzodinma the other day, who carry files. They are discussing with Buhari. What are you discussing? Your people are dying. And then you are boasting. You are the one who sent soldiers after IPOB. Are they not citizens of your state? If you protected your people, if your people are happy, will IPOB gain upper hand? IPOB is relevant because majority of the people are angry. They are unhappy. They can see lack of performance. They can see lack of progress. Anybody who knows the Igbo people will know they are amongst the most brilliant. I always call them the Japanese, the Chinese, the Indians, the Koreans lumped into one. That is the Igbo nation for you. Any serious president would have turned Igbo land into Silicon Valley. But because you have this mortal fear of Igbo man, you have this hatred for the Igbo man, as if they are not nice. And they say they want to go, you say they can't go. If a wife is tired of the husband, or the husband is tired of the wife, then go your separate ways. But you can't say you don't like me and say you must, by force, you still want me to stay with you. You must choose one. You must choose one. The Igbo man cannot aspire to be president, but he can aspire to be your houseboy. No. And they say, no, we are tired. We can no longer do this. And then you say they can't go. Let them go. And then if you want a country of your own where nobody can challenge you, then form a Fulani nation. Nobody will stop it. You have the power, you have the military, you have everything already. You control the central bank, you can pack everything and take. Nobody will go against it. We are not going, if the Fulani say they are going to do, I'm sure most Nigerians will support it. Nobody is going to stop you. So why are the Fulanis then saying others cannot go? So the solution is, if you don't want people to leave Nigeria, then treat them like Nigerians. Treat them like Nigerians. Treat them with love. Cuddle them with affection. You want your child, your baby not to cry. You must hug the baby. You must dance with the baby. You must give your baby lollipop. It's easy. It should be easy for anybody to live together in peace or to disintegrate in pieces. It should be very easy. There are two options. There is nothing to speak against Ruga. Ruga, it can't work. You can't grab land everywhere and say because you must feed cows. Yes, the day you can allow me to build my own empire anywhere of my choice in West Africa, I can just stroll across and go across the border to Chad, to Niger, and go and grab land there. Oh, then that will be fine. Under what law would I allow somebody to come into my farmland? I've planted my corn, I've planted my yam, I've planted everything, and then somebody comes, and then you with your cows. I was in Akure last weekend, I couldn't believe it. I said, so after all the noise that Governor Akeredolu made against this thing, they ignored him. I saw cows on the streets of Akure. I saw cows in a local government place somewhere there. I was showing, if I asked one of our staff, Innovation Television, to take the picture. Cows inside Akure. Tell me if you are, and a lot of them go to London or Dubai, and so you can't tell me that Islam allows it, because Islam does not promote nonsense. I know my Islam well. My grandparents were Muslims while my parents were Christians. So I belong to both religions. Imagine going to Dubai and as you come out of the airport, you see cows on the streets. Is it possible? Or you go to Saudi Arabia for Umrah or for anything. You go to Saudi Arabia and then you see cows on the streets. So where did we get our own backwardness from? Cows everywhere. And you say they must condone it. If you want to do it, there's no problem. Create a cow colony in Fulani land. Nobody will fight you. You want Sharia law? No problem. You want to cut off hands of anybody who sins? Why not? It's your own hand. Cut it. But you can't say a Christian should live under your law. It's not possible. Because Christians are not going to force you to live under theirs. So, what is the problem? Oh, you want cows everywhere. Why not? I have no problem with it. As long as it's in your own land, in your own territory, that's fine. But don't come to my house and come and destroy my house and I say I have no right to talk. Some Nigerians now are living in Benin Republic. Are we not shameless? People in Ogun State have been displaced from their own land. Now they are running to go and live in parts of Benin Republic. If we talk, they say, no, it's their right. We must allow cows to feed. If you can feed cows on the streets of Saudi Arabia, go and feed cows on the streets of Dubai, where you all love to go. Go and feed cows anywhere. Even in Senegal, I have not seen cows on the street. And I've been there many times, so maybe they will be in some villages, but I've never seen them. I've met the president of Senegal. I have good friends in Senegal. I've never seen cows near their airport. It has never happened. I live in Ghana. I've never seen cows on the streets of Ghana. It's not possible. You drive on the streets of Accra and you suddenly see cows on the street. It's not possible. Where did you get this culture from? And why is Buhari condoning it? Would Buhari go carry his own cows to go on the streets? So why are you allowing some people, if they say that's how they've been doing it for 1,000 years, so must we continue to do the same madness for another 1,000 years? It's very unfortunate. Somebody said some retired people are the owners of the car. It doesn't matter who owns the car. I don't care whether they are owned by Nigerian Yoruba generals or, you see, people carry too many rumors, which mention the Yoruba generals who own them, and we call them out. We call them out. It doesn't matter who owns them, whether they are our kings or they are our chiefs. Mention their names, the people you know who own cows in Yoruba land or in Igbo land. Who will now tell us that we must allow cows to go and be destroying people's houses. Only last night, somebody that we know very well was kidnapped from a farm in Ogun State. This is a hard-working woman. Just yesterday was displaced. I'll get the details now. I need to find out even if they've made contact with the kidnappers. Yeah. Madam Roslyn Afago Edusi, 55 years old, was kidnapped around 6 p.m. this evening from her farm by 8 armed Fulani herdsmen. She, with a male business partner, Mr. Chinedu, were weeks away. Yeah, and this was in Crispin Farms and Agro Limited of Adawode Road, Owode, Ogun State. Please tell me, what kind of country is that? It is very sad. Very, very sad. Hello, how are you? Any luck at all? Yes. $100 million. Okay. Yes. I understand. Okay. 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 I'm live now. I will talk to you after. I will talk to you after. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. So, I think that will be the end of my sermon this morning. I want to say a big thank you to Pastor Itwa for that very momentous press conference. For those of you who might have missed it, I will I will play the tape again so that you can properly digest the message.